Hello guys, Sue Jerry speaking. Welcome to LJPCBM episode number 1164. Hang on. Is it 1164? Yeah, I was right, okay. And today we're reacting to Purple Rose Podcast episode number 87. Eric Neal, puppeteer, writer, musician of Chuck E. Cheese. We had this begin in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Gotta turn this up a little bit so I can all hear this.
I'm Kerry Stinson, and my journey through life has been quite an adventure. For over 20 years, I played Barney the Dinosaur on tour and 7 seasons of the hugely popular TV show Barney and Friends. Now my journey is to bring together friends and guests from all over the entertainment world for inspiring and at times amusing behind-the-scenes conversation. I'm Kerry Stinson, and this is Purple Roads.
Okay.
Welcome to Purple Roads. My name is Kerry Stinson, and as always, I'm thrilled you're here. This one's very exciting for me. This is a good friend of mine. I've worked with him, and this is somewhere we haven't gone, so it's really cool. It's really fun. There's like this connection to Barney and a connection to him, and so this is going to be awesome. This is Eric Neal, who I've known as a musician. He's so talented as a musician, but he's also for the last 6-7 years been working with Chuck E. Cheese.
Wow.
So we're going to talk about Chuck E. Cheese, and we're going to talk about music too. So Eric, how are you?
Great to see you, my friend.
Man, so good to see you.
It's been a long minute, hasn't it?
It has.
What was the last thing that we did together? Do you remember?
Oh my goodness. It would have been one of the Ryman and Steel, and I think out at Legacy Hall.
Oh, right on, right on.
I think it's the last time I came out and shot some pictures with you. And
Yeah.
Wow.
And, you had a picture from New York we were looking at just a minute ago.
Yes.
Which was one of my favorite shoots I've ever done with you guys and Ryman and Steel. And if everyone don't know what we're talking about, it's one of the absolute best tribute bands you'll ever see. They're a Beastie Boys tribute band, and they're phenomenal. So Ryman and Steel, and check them out if you can.
It's a lot of fun. I love the memory of you when we were filming on the streets of New York, recreating the Check It Out intro for Letterman. And I'm like guiding you as you're walking backwards and just like, look out, there's a fire hydrant, look out, there's this. And you're carrying the GoPro and walking backwards. And anyway, it's a fun time.
We may need to put that link to somewhere. I mentioned
Yes.
behind the scenes of you grabbing my belt and pulling me through there.
Wow.
And the true trust that I had in you that I wasn't going to die.
Right.
Wow.
Through New York.
I'm so glad you didn't.
Thank you. Well, this is so much fun. There's a lot of people that watch this show that want to get in the industry.
Yeah.
You touch in so many areas because of such a talented musician. And how many tribute bands are you in? Currently.
4 or 5. Let's see. I've got Petty Theft, which is a Tom Petty tribute.
Yeah.
Who's
Great
Best?
band in Dallas.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Who's Best, which is a Who tribute. I'm the Townsend.
Yep.
There is Thin White Dukes, which is Bowie.
Okay.
Oh, David Bowie, okay.
There is Ryman and Steelin', of course.
Sure.
I've done a Neil Young thing. I've done a Bob Dylan thing. Those are, I guess, still typically. We don't play all that much. I think officially we still exist, but it's been a little while. I think post-pandemic for both of those. So, that threw a wrench in a number of things.
Well, one of my favorite things from Ryman and Steelin' is that I don't think, I'm guessing, I don't think you were a DJ before.
Right.
Well.
And there was an opportunity, and you taught yourself as I recall the story.
Yeah. So Kyle, who is the ad rock, was telling me one day, there's an opportunity to maybe be the DJ. How long would it take you to learn this? And he was not serious at all. Right. He was just I know you're a good guitar player and whatever, but was sort of frustrated with the situation. And I was like, man, give me 2 months. And he was like, yeah, okay, whatever. So I sort of just went and very quietly just worked on my chops. My brother oddly had a set of turntables. Like, hey, can I borrow those? And man, just got good enough to do the gig, and sent him a little video of it. And he was like, dude, you're in, you know, and it just from there it turned into this other thing. And man, it's such a fun gig and a fun role to be in that band and sort of like running the thing
Wow.
and learning to do the scratch part. It's so much fun. I'm
Wow.
just entertaining
You also
myself,
get-
Gary.
You also get up there and rap.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I jump up there occasionally, and I've actually subbed for Josh as MCA a couple of times, but
Wow.
like
Wow. Okay, Josh, Martin or what? I don't know. Continue on.
do So What You Want, the version that has Be Real from Cypress Hill, and I'll do that part and a couple of other things where I'll get a little feature here and there.
It's so cool. And then with Chuck E. Cheese, we were trying to come up with a title, and it was so much there was just no way to do
Wow.
it all. And I love the fact that you said, well, start to finish, and it really is, right? So writing, directing, puppeteer, puppet maker, obviously music.
Yeah.
How did that all come about?
So I started back in, God, I think it was 2014 when I first officially started, and
Wow.
I came in as a puppeteer, and there's a guy that works up there, a buddy of mine named Matt Daniel, that contacted me and had seen some of the puppeteer work that I had done previously, just sort of as a hobby, and we can go back into that world too if you want. But, anyway, I came in as a puppeteer, and I almost didn't do it. Like I was like, nah, I'd rather do my own thing, and something was just like, well, it's just for a week, you know, and I'll go in and I'll wiggle some dolls for a week, and maybe it'll be fun.
Wow.
Or whatever. Right. And it was a blast, and it was, you know, a big production. You know, I sort of thought, this will be a small thing, but there's a crew of like 30 people, and it's a big production, and so that was fun, and
Wow.
the people that I met were great, and so I was like, hey, if you ever need a session guy or like a songwriter or whatever, just I do this other thing, and sort of I think got the okay, whatever, and went in and did another puppeteer performance, and then at some point, Matt, I think, just needed some instrumental music like quick, and so he contacted me and was just like, hey, can you do something and give it to me tomorrow? I was like, okay, and so just frantically did it, and he liked it, and that sort of snowballed into like, well, you want to write something else? And just like, okay, sure. So I wrote some more music, and at the time I was just doing songwriting and submitting that, and at some point, one of the demos that I did, I really liked, and I was like, "Can we use the music from this?" And he's like, "Yeah, sure." And at that point, I started doing all of the music for it, and like playing all the instruments and stuff on the stuff that I had written.
Right.
And then at some point, the director that we were working with went and did other things, and he was just like, "Well, these are your ideas. Do you want to direct?" Yeah, sure. And I sort of stepped in all of this stuff, not necessarily even knowing how to do it, but it would just sort of learn on the job and very nervously go in and do this, and it sort of just fell together. So from there, I edit my own stuff, and so anything that I typically start the idea and write the music, I'll kind of start to finish, have my hands all over it. But there's a lot of other people that are doing great stuff with it too. It's not just me, but I'm doing a lot.
Yeah.
Well, I want to get all into that, but I want to get to the beginning before we go forward.
Okay.
Because obviously, I've seen your talent over the years with music, so I've got to hear more about that.
Yeah.
But also just the whole aspect of the entertainment world, right? Where you got to this point where you can jump in and you can puppeteer, you can jump in and you can write. You know, I need something quick, right? That takes, obviously there's natural talent there, but it takes a little time to get there, right?
Totally. Yeah.
Where did this all start as a kid, where you picked up all these skills to where you are now?
Well, I got to say, like right off the bat, it's really funny. I found a couple of days ago this little book that's like my school years or whatever, where each page is like the next year of school, and there's like a little interview of like, you know, who are your friends and what you like. And one of them in kindergarten was, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I had written puppeteer and musician.
Wow.
So I guess I knew early what I wanted to do.
And how old were you when you did that?
I was 5.
Wow.
So my parents started me on violin when I was 4, and that was sort of the kickoff. And it's funny, I was watching your Matt Vogel interview, and I've heard this same story so many places, but he has the identical story, and it's, I loved the Muppets. You know, I loved Jim Henson and Sesame Street when I was little, Muppets when I was a little older, and just sort of obsessed with it. And more than just watching it, I wanted to know how to do this. I loved the behind the scenes stuff. There was a show that came out. It was an hour-long special called Muppets and Men. That was it just showed the behind the scenes stuff of doing the Muppet Show. And it was so fascinating to me, and watching them, you know, do this and have the monitor and get into the weird portion of musicians. And so I just wanted to do that. And I put on shows with friends, and there's old videos of shows that we did, and totally with, like, you know, I'd get a little monitor and try to do exactly what they were doing on the show. And so that was sort of my elementary school days of just like really honing my skills, but not realizing it. I'm just sort of having fun. But
were you performing for people?
Yeah, I would do shows for like neighborhood kids, and, you know, grab some of my buddies and like my brother to come help, but yeah, kind of running the show and like, no, let's do it like this and whatever. But yeah, we would do it for neighborhood kids, and I just remember a lot of just doing it, you know. Me and another friend, and setting up the camera and the monitor, and just for fun, you know. And I hope it was fun for them, but you know. But anyway, junior high hit, and I feared for my reputation, and everything went into the closet, and that was sort of.
And we're going to talk about that. Keep going, but I want to talk about that.
Right on. And it's sort of a shame. I mean, I wasn't on anybody's radar to begin with, so it's sort of just like, man, just keep doing what you love, you know. But yeah, I was scared of that. But started getting more into music. I picked up guitar at that point, and did like local rock bands, and sort of got that wheel turning. And then junior year of high school, I went.
Sorry, you got me.
Yeah.
They're all just coming. So, did the violin prepared you for the guitar?
Yeah, totally.
Okay.
And it's weird. Violin. I mean, I guess fiddle you can do whatever. But
now, is it basically the same instrument except?
Yeah. It's just the style, you know. So with classical, everybody plays like this, right hand. I'm a left-handed dude, so I love.
Same here, Eric. Yeah, I'm left-handed. Continue on.
To do this with my left hand instead of my right, so I went from this to guitar, playing like a right-handed player. I sort of wish I would have flipped, because there's things that this hand can't do that I really wish it could do, but I digress. But yeah, violin sort of led to guitar. Guitar was much more interesting to me at my junior high and high school, and like, you know, I went to a Bruce Springsteen concert and had that moment of like, that is what I want to be, you know. It just blew my mind. But yeah, these little moments of like, that's it. So I got super focused on music at that point. And, high school, I ended up going to, for my senior year, I went to Washington High School for the Performing and Visual Arts, or the Arts Magnet, as it's known.
We might as well talk about that right now.
Yeah.
Just what a phenomenal school. Talk about the school and the experience there.
So lucky. Carrie, I was so lucky. I went into my audition without a thing prepared. Just this bonehead walking in with the guitar and just like, yeah, I want to be here. I have no idea how I got in, honestly. I remember like playing some stuff, and then identifying notes on a keyboard, and like sort of call and response, and like, I guess checking if my ear was any good and if I knew any theory, and thank goodness they let me in, because I was drowning at my old high school, you know. And I really feel like it sort of saved me in a way. And I got to focus on what I loved, and I got to play guitar at school, and just like, this is so neat. But didn't realize what a great experience that would be for me musically, for me socially. The opportunities that opened up. My senior year, I moved to bass and got in the top jazz band there. And we toured, and we did jazz festivals, and opened for like Dave Brubeck and J.J. Johnson and George Benson, and it like met these heavy hitters, and it was just a great experience. And playing with such great players, like
Wow.
and I didn't know until after I got out of high school how lucky I was in that regard, and the talent went kind of like that, and just like, whoa, these guys are so great. But being the weakest link, I went like that, like I
Based on the Lakers Lane, the game show. Continue on.
went into something that, like with jazz, I just didn't even understand what I was listening to, and like actually got pretty decent, and you know, it was just such luck.
Wow.
But from there, let's see, where did my journey take me? I got out of high school. I went to Memphis and played in a band there for about a year.
What type of music?
Well, it was sort of sold as something different than it was. There was a guy out there that some buddies and I hooked up with, who was, he had like a small hit back in the 70s, and he had connections, and he was like, oh, I knew Elvis Presley, and I know all these, you know, these people in the business, and I'm ready to do it again, and I've got all these originals.
Wow.
And I'd say it was sort of classic rocky and sort of soul. Like, he had a great voice. But I got out there, and it turned into sort of just a bar band, and we'd go and do these, like, you know, 4 or 5 hour shows of, you know, Mustang Sally, and just like, you know, just whatever the 30-year-old crowd was wanting, and it just turned into this sort of hamster wheel thing. And it was very, I was disillusioned with the whole thing after about 9 months, and so I put in my notice. I mean, it was a great experience looking back and sort of being on my own and living off of music, you know. And it's like making a decent living, just playing bars and stuff, and
Wow.
it's fun, you know, but it sort of ran its course.
Sure.
So I came back to Dallas, and I have about 7 years of going to college for a computer degree and working in a cube that will just like flash forward. And at some point, I got downsized from that company, and was just like, well, I'm going to take some time and just do whatever I want and sort of see where life takes me. And I started playing music a lot again, and joining bands and meeting people, and, you know, sort of just to pass the time. But once again, I sort of got in this thing where I'm making money, you know, I'm playing in bands, and I started teaching, which was a good, you know, source of income, and really fun too.
Whoa.
But that was sort of, my days were filled with that, and then at night I'd go play, and not by design, but it was just like, I'm doing it again, and it's fun, and so here we go again. We're back sort of in the music world. Okay, and then and cut me off if this is going long, but in 2007, just
Eligible year, that is. Continue on.
around on the internet, I came across a website. Oh, I should give a plug. ProjectPuppet.com.
All right.
It is this great website that has simple patterns up to more complicated patterns for building puppets. And they're great patterns, and they're very Muppety looking.
Yeah.
And just randomly came across this and was like, yeah, what the heck, I'll do that. So I ordered a pattern and started building. And built another one, and started doing some of my own patterns, just sort of as a hobby.
Wow.
And some of the musicians were like, you do what now? And it's like, yeah, and so mostly like, and by mostly, I can think of one comment that was like, you weirdo. Everybody was like, that's so cool. And beyond that so cool, like, can I help? And you want to do something? And so started doing videos with musicians that I knew. And not necessarily like kid songs, but kid friendly songs.
Mm-hmm.
And with puppets. And
Right.
was okay, this is fun. So that sort of snowballed, and then I think that after I had a collection of them, that's what Nat saw, and I got the call from Chuck E. Cheese to, hey, come do this.
Wow.
But as people sort of got to know that, hey, he's got this side life, I was getting other calls for gigs for like commercials, and I was like Chester Cheetah in a commercial, and Osito, the little bimbo bread bear, that little white bear. I was that character. Couple other things. I built some puppets for commercials. I did an encore thing. Anyway, it's sort of just this thing that was hobby style, and it just ballooned into this like, oh, I'm actually doing this as a living, and it's great fun, and it's back to feeding what I loved as a kid.
I do, and it's you just hit all these areas that I'm so connected with, and a lot of the reasons I've done what I've done over the years as well.
Yeah.
You have to try things, like you're talking
Yes.
about the band in Memphis. You have to try things because you just don't know. That's what happened with Barney. I went over to this lady's house. She was doing a birthday party. She's Barney, and here I am at this lady's house. She's got 2 kids. I'm in the garage looking at this costume that's 20 pieces, and she's handing me a VHS tape saying, "Go learn this." And I'm thinking, where is this going? And obviously the world knows where this went. So I've never, ever, ever seen that. So obviously the lesson for both of us here is to everyone is to try.
Exactly.
On that as well, I have tried about everything you can in the entertainment world. I took singing classes. I was the worst, and I got an A+ in the class.
Wow.
If you could sing like your passion, you'd be the greatest singer in the world.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I did it, and I don't have to wonder, would I ever try it? Could I be good? No, I wasn't, but I tried.
Yeah.
And I'm hearing a lot of that from you. And I also want to get to the point there at the beginning about how you found this thing you want to do so much, and then you left it because of whatever it may have been. And we've talked about this on the show a lot, and I love getting into this because we're all born creative. I believe it 1,000%, and kids are so innocent and fearless, and then all of a sudden we start getting older and it's not cool or it's embarrassing or whatever it may be. Then you've got to come back around to this later point in your life where you don't care. You're with these musicians making puppets and you just don't care.
That's it.
So
and it's like I just
about that part.
I just think curse you junior high, where it just like suddenly matters. And it, like, I remember in 6th grade like hitting that point where all these people that were just in my class that were all friends last year, suddenly everyone's fractioning off into these little groups and just like, hey man, and then the quick back turn, and it's like it's a terrible time, kid.
Wow.
Oh, I went through similar. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But what brought you within you? We hear this so much on this show that your creative just took over. It was like, I just really don't care. I'm gonna go do what I want to do. Was it just that the memories of being a kid? Was it I just don't care anymore? Where did that come back? Where you just went through?
All of the above. I mean, that's later in life where you don't care anymore. It's just like, this is just gonna be fun, and I kind of wish that I would have held on to that in junior. I mean, your road takes you where it takes you, and I'm glad where I am now. And who knows what turns could have happened if things had gone differently. But yeah, it's just follow that passion and try not to care.
Wow.
Right, and just believe in what we're all individuals. And when you can be that individual for whatever it may be, it really is the key to all that.
That's exactly it.
And this trying that you're talking about, and all these things you've done have prepared you, because I've seen it with you. You know, how you can pick up things quick, and I've seen you lead bands, and I've seen all these things, which are obviously turned into what you're doing. It's so important, because then, you know, who knows what's next, and you're ready to jump on that.
Yes.
Were you at all nervous when the Chuck E. Cheese thing came? And I mean, I know you were, you know, it's a job and you want to try, but were you like, because, I mean, Chuck E. Cheese has been around since 1977.
Yes. After Atari came out. And boy, it was followed by somebody else. Who also formed Chuck E. Cheese. Continue on.
Right? The creator started Atari, and people don't know that.
That's why I said, Carrie. Continue on.
I grew up on Atari, so I know all about that.
Yeah. And currently, they made the video game Atari 50, which I did for Nintendo Switch Saturdays. Saturdays Arcade. I did a bad job doing this, unfortunately. But I get some practice on this one, so there you go. Continue on.
We were talking about, you know, what, almost 45 years later.
Yeah.
So it is a brand that everyone knows. Were you nervous going into this? Going, you know, I kind of had a hobby in the puppeteering, and now here I am doing something.
Oddly not. And like, I think the not, you know, my gut reaction when I got the inquiry was no, which again, I'm glad I said yes.
Sure.
And it's coming back to like, just say yes to stuff. Like, if you know, so many cool things open up when you just say yes to stuff.
Absolutely.
But I think that gut no was sort of like, meh, I'll go in and do this. And I knew that I knew that I had some decent chops coming in, and like if I didn't know sort of what I was doing, I think I would have been more nervous about it. But I was also going in with a buddy. It was his first shoot, and he's been doing a performance since then. A guy named Daniel Matthews, who I met at. Okay, let's talk about this. Noel McNeil was on your show.
Yes.
Yeah, the Bear the People House, which I talked about on LJPCBM before. Continue on.
Yes, Bear.
He and Peter Linz, who's Muppet fame, do a workshop in Denton called Beyond the Sock.
Yeah, he talked about it on this episode.
Yeah.
Which I explain more on LJPCBM. By the way, Bear the People House on Disney Plus right now. Continue on.
Joe.
So it was either 13 or 14. I think it was the first year that they did it. I had that week off and was just like, oh, that would be fun. And went and did it and met a couple of people. And anyway, this guy, Daniel, was one of the guys that was at that event and local guy. And so he was coming from zero, too. It was really neat to watch him have no skills and by the end of the week, like, kind of getting it down. And he comes from a improv comedy background. So as far as like the skits we were putting together, he was killing that. So anyway, I digress. I sort of had the security blanket of the buddy going in too. So that helped. But yeah, I don't remember really being nervous. And when they were like, hey, we need a puppet to, puppet up, I was just like, I'll do it, and just ran up and did it. And I remember seeing a couple of eyebrows go up when I was like doing it, like, okay, so I think I'm making a good impression here. And so, so yeah, it was good. It was good.
Well, that's one of the toughest parts for all of us, right? I did that as well when I jumped in the Barney suit.
Yeah.
Wow.
For Cheryl Leach, Dennis DeShazer, and Kathy Parker. And you just do your thing. You just do your thing, and I get out. And I get, well, that was good. Was that good, like as in I got the job? Or was that good as
wow.
We might call you, or,
Right.
I mean, it really is nerve-wracking. So
Yeah.
I can understand what you're talking about. Looking over there going, well, I know I'm good, but Do they know I'm good?
Wow.
I'm gonna keep doing this.
I also had the luck of going into it not really having an audition. You know, I had a reel of sorts, but that was just here's some stuff I did for fun. Um, but yeah, I came in having the gig, so it wasn't even like, oh, I really want this, and having that extra pressure. I was already in, you know.
Wow.
But I guess I got called back for the second one was like, okay, I did good enough.
Right,
Wow.
exactly. We were talking about this before we started the episode, and I mentioned it in the opening. So much connection with Barney. Bob West was the voice of Pasquale. He was involved with
Wow.
Cheese for a long time.
Yeah.
Duncan was involved. One of the voices from Barney was involved with it. Stephen White, one of the writers, was involved. And if I dig deeper, I'll bet I'll find some other people.
Yeah,
Wow.
I know some of the
Very
crew.
involved.
We've shared some crew, and I think there's some people in the art department that were Barney folks, and yeah, it definitely keeps coming up.
Yeah, it's so many talented people in the Dallas Fort Worth area and in Texas. I talk about it all the time.
Yeah,
The Texas, and so yeah, it's
who knew?
Yeah, I know.
Wow.
That's the whole point of this. We want them all to know.
Right.
In Texas, we know what we're doing down here.
Right.
But I think that is so cool. I want to talk to you about what it's like. You know, Chuck E. Cheese has changed so much from what they were originally doing to what they're doing now.
Yeah.
You're working with a kids brand, but you also have to keep it modern, which is tricky. It is very tricky. So what has it been like since you've been there and keeping it, you know, kids' attention spans, you know, so much has changed in that.
Yeah.
And I know they've changed that brand a lot. What has it been like working on that aspect of it?
Well, I came in with the current Chuck universe that is today. So with Jarrett Reddick as Chuck, and it's sort of the rock star Chuck version. So
Right, explain that.
well, it's hard to explain. I know that there was sort of like a early 2000s version of Chuck and a 90s Chuck, and like the original one back in the 70s with the bowler hat, and so he's had a couple of evolutions.
Right.
And man, some of the stuff in the 70s, it feels very adult. Like,
wow,
there's some risque jokes, and you know, I get the feeling that it was there to entertain the adults as the kids went off and played video games and stuff.
Sure.
But yeah, it's definitely more geared towards kids now. When I write stuff, I try to put little nuggets in for the adults, like some things that would definitely go over kids. Not anything that's like offensive or whatever, but just like
Sure,
I see what you're doing there.
excuse me.
Yeah, a lot like what Sesame Street does. A little
Yeah.
bit, where they always kind of put it towards the adults. A little bit.
Yeah, a little nod to like the adult that's sitting there with the kid, and
Sure.
you know, I've tried to do that
Mm-hmm.
musically, sort of stylistically. If I'm a loose, you know, I'll do something that was like early '90s hip hop style. That
Yeah, which I'm not a huge fan of that, by the way. Continue on.
isn't going to grasp sort of what we're doing, but some of the visual stuff and some of the styles and that kind of thing. That's all for mom and dad of just like,
Sure.
this is what you used to listen to, you know?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, as far as I sort of forgot the question, but
No, it's just keeping it to where it is now, right? To the where
Yeah.
kids are with attention spans and everything from the original brand to now.
yeah, one thing that has sort of evolved, and I understand it. It's sort of a shame because I liked what we were doing. When I came in, we were doing sort of long stories. So
Wow.
it's like a 3-act story where,
Sure.
and that was what was shown in the stores.
Yeah.
And they sort of got rid of that, and they went to sort of the 3-minute skit, standalone skit, or music video, or whatever.
Right.
And I get it. It's easier to keep the kids' attention when it's a 2-3 minute thing, but it was fun to do sort of the episodic stuff.
Yeah.
Sure.
But one thing you touched on, it made me think about what I sort of like doing, and it's a great age group to be writing for, especially musically. And it sort of encapsulates what we were talking about when you get to junior high and you start caring what's cool and that kind of thing. But that 0 to 10 crowd, they're great because they're just little sponges, and you can throw any genre, any style at them, and there's a good chance they're gonna like it, you know?
Right.
And it's no directive of anyone else's, but it was sort of my own personal thing. It's like I want to throw as many different styles in as I can, and almost like a music appreciation class for kids of just like here's this and here's like old country and here's funk and here's rap and here's and it doesn't need we'll do modern pop songs too, but it doesn't need to be exclusively that, and that's so much fun because kids will eat things up. I know people with kids that their 7-year-olds loves like Stevie Wonder, and it's just like why would he pick that up? But it's just like because it doesn't matter yet, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, sure, and the importance of that, right? Introducing kids into different styles of music.
I think that it's wildly important, and I have nothing to back that statement up, but I just think it's so like, and it's the perfect time to like throw these things in, and then there's like a memory of like, oh, I remember this song that I loved, and you're fitting it into this little window where they're accepting of this stuff, right? And they're not going to be again until late high school and college, and so anyway, get it in early and create the memory of like, oh, I liked this,
Well, it's something that these shows do the popular ones and the top ones do such a good job of, which is the education and the entertainment, right?
Yeah.
You're doing that entertainment, but you're sliding in things for the kids to learn. In that case, different styles of music.
Yeah.
All kinds of little things that you can do.
Yeah, and it's not supposed to be an educational thing. It is heavy on entertainment, but
Sure.
But I've always tried to sort of not heavy-handed at all, but sneak in some little message or to have a moral.
Right.
And not huge, but
Sure,
I want it to be fun and funny and whatever, but some little piece of something that gives it some depth, and hopefully I do that.
Wow.
Well, so I want to talk. I do this in every episode, and it's important. And I'm curious, what is it like when you get into this part of the industry when you're entertaining kids? Because it's a different audience. It just is. There's a responsibility to it. I've talked about it. I've learned. You have a power, but you also have a responsibility.
Yeah.
Right. It doesn't matter if you guys are just having fun. You've got honor, right?
Totally.
Right. So
Yeah.
What has that been like for you?
I had a very early awareness of not wanting. It's always bothered me, the thought of kids sort of losing their innocence early. You know what I mean?
I do.
And I want to do things that are fun and entertaining, but have sort of a purity to them,
Sure.
and hopefully even kind of keep them in this world for a little while. Like if it's good enough and they want to stay, And
Sure.
I hate the idea of kids sort of growing up too soon, and so if something good sort of keeps them in a sort of pure world, I like that.
Wow.
Beyond that, I sort of just think of what I was like as a kid and what I could handle and what I couldn't handle, and I was a very sensitive little kid, and so like I know I don't want to go over a line of something that would scare a kid, and I could be scared very easily. Like
Wow.
sort of bad example because this really was scary for a 4-year-old. One of the first Muppet episodes I saw, probably the first Muppet episode, was the Vincent Price episode.
Sure.
Wow.
And, you know, Kermit grows vampire fangs and latches onto his neck and just like, ah!
It was so hilarious to watch. Continue on.
It was way too intense for me. And so,
Right.
anyway, I put a lot of thought into that of like what's crossing the line and don't, you know?
Right.
I wanted to get close to the line because the line can be fun for kids, but you know, don't go past that. But I don't know. What have you thought about in your world as far as that goes?
Well, I saw it a lot. Barney was a 7-foot dinosaur.
Wow.
So jumping and dancing and all of those things. And, there was many times I came flying in a room and kids just,
Whoa.
right, tears and things of that nature. And so I learned how to be able to pull back. And I learned, depending on the kid, it really doesn't matter, right? If they're scared, it's legit. And so you totally pull back and you make smaller movements and you let them come into you. And so I really learned that skill over the years.
Yeah.
How to do that. We went to hospital appearances. We went all over the place. And so there was times, and you can't judge by their age, right? I've seen 3-year-olds that want all of that, and then there's others that you gotta pull it in. And so it is really a responsibility with that. And I've never seen an audience where you're so in tune with them. Like I would go in the room and see them, and I am in tune to what's going on and watching them closely on how to pull back and this, and because you want to give that experience. I can talk about going to Chuck E. Cheese when I was a kid. Right? I went to Chuck E. Cheese. I remember good experiences going there. My parents took me there, and it was fun.
Wow.
So if you get into this industry, it's just really important. And look what you're doing. You've learned things from the Muppets and things of that you put into what you're doing now. And I love you carrying it forward. I think that's just awesome.
Absolutely. And it's funny, you don't realize as a kid when you're just playing that you're preparing yourself for your career, And I think about that with music too. When I was in high school, a buddy of mine and I had 4 tracks, and we would write songs specifically to make each other laugh, just the dumbest stuff we could come up with. And it's got a very similar quality. It's not dumb stuff, but I'm trying to make people laugh and make people smile with what I'm doing now. And I had no idea that's career prep, It's just like, I'm just doing this for fun, but I kind of still am.
Right. Right. And let's talk about that part, because especially as a musician, I want to talk about the musician part of it, because being a musician and being a working musician are 2 different things, and it's very difficult if you can make it in all those areas. So you've still got to have fun, right? If you lose the fun part, I just don't think you'll really find the success that you want to have.
Absolutely.
But the hustle that's involved, keeping yourself open. Here you are, a musician, going down this great path. You're teaching, which that's great also. And then all of a sudden you're doing Chuck E. Cheese stuff. So opening yourself up for those things.
Yeah.
Obviously, you talked about it earlier, but I want to go even further into this about I'm making a living as a musician, as an entertainer, as a performer.
Yeah.
How hard was it to get there, and how do you keep that going?
There's a lot of hustle.
Wow.
There's a lot, and it's tough. I think it's a certain personality that will stay on that. When you sort of don't work for anyone, it's easy to just like, well, I'm just gonna sleep in today and whatever. So it's like, you remember you gotta eat, and so, but it's a bit of a hustle, and it's going out and getting gigs and keeping all these plates spinning and not crashing one on top of the other. Like, it's with the bands that I'm in, pretty much everybody is in several other bands as well, so there's a lot of scheduling and like making that work and whatever. But getting back to sort of like making a living, it snuck up on me. I had this sort of like out of the cube moment for for 6 months, I was giving myself to just like, I'm not going to look for another job.
Right.
I'm just going to like see where life takes me. And got in a band and got in another band and got in another band and
Wow.
and met people and did session work and did lessons, and it just snuck up of like I'm not dipping into the savings that or the what is it, not pension, but where they give you when they can you
Your 401k.
yeah.
Can I be excused, please? I'll be right back. Hey guys, I am so sorry for the huge delay. I am so ready. My eyes are straining up, and plus I did my lunchtime episode. So let's get back in the show. Continue in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
But I had a little pile of money that was like my parting gift.
Yes.
But
Your severance.
yes, thank you, the severance. But the first month that I realized that didn't go down, and it's just like I think I found my new thing, you know.
Right.
But it's funny, you know. It's not the junior high. I'm gonna be Bruce Springsteen up there. It sort of change your idea of what success is.
Sure.
But I think about it like there was one night I was coming home and just like it started welling up like you know, I mean, I'm not like super rich or anything, but I'm going and doing. People pay money to do things for fun, and I just got paid money to do something that's fun. And it's a cliche, but you know, you find that thing and you don't work a day in your life, you know?
Right. Right. It's very true. It's very true. And I understand exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I know people on here. We have a lot of puppeteers that watch this show, so I want to get back into this with Chuck E. Cheese, in the fact of, because we mentioned writer, director, all these things. Let's talk about puppet maker.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So, are they telling you what they want? Are they giving you a general idea? Are you creating something and saying, "Here it is"? How's that all going?
Yes.
Wow.
Perfect. So the next question.
Well, it's funny. That's a lot of it is like that. Sometimes, even with like the songwriting, they have a specific. We need this character to sing a song about this in this style, and you know, with elements of blah. And sometimes they're just like, we need a song. Just give us one. And so, with the puppets, it's been like that too. I built. Okay, so I first off want to be clear, the main characters, those are not mine. There's a guy named Andy Hayward who's a brilliant builder and puppeteer that built all the main characters. You should have him on. He's a great dude. I'll get you in touch with him.
Love it.
But there's like side characters that show up that I've built. A lot of the times I will write a song or a skit that something that I thought of, okay, this requires this puppet, and so I'll build it, and that's how he becomes part of the Chuckyverse. But I also have a group of blank characters, which this is an old Muppet trick, but it's I think they're called Anything Muppets, or I've heard them called Whatnots. I love that name, so I call them Whatnots. Basically, like Mr. Potato Head puppets. They're just blank characters, and you can stick on features and whatever. So, you know, you'll see this little purple guy that was like the vampire in the Halloween episode is the little kid in this episode is, you know, the dancing girl in this episode. And so there's a handful of those that are just, you know, forever changing out.
Wow.
And I presume that's great in a pinch, right?
Oh,
when you need something, how long does it take you to flip one of those?
It depends. Like I've gotten their features. The collection of features has grown over the years. Like they started with like, okay, here's 2 sets of eyes and whatever. But with each go around, it's like, well, this is going to be a witch, so I need like big big googly eyes and a big green nose with a wart on it, and so those go in the box. And so the more
Wow.
that has grown, the easier it is to just like grab some features and pin it on and put a wig and whatever, and now you got a new character.
Wow.
Now, are you doing voices for the characters too?
I am, and it's
Wow.
again mostly the side characters. I'll say mostly it's the side characters,
Right.
but little stuff that's popped up. There's like a giant armadillo named Phil. That's my voice. There's Gary the ghost. There were a bunch of little baby Munches, the big purple monster. So there was a skit we did where he's got a bunch of little baby siblings that are all like little squeaky voice guys, and those are all me. Scraps, there's a dog, just any sort of side character that comes along, and it's just like it's going to be either me or Matt probably.
Right.
But I have the luck of being the one that's recording the demos and stuff, so it's my voice to begin with, and Matt's just like, let's just keep it. Like, cool.
Wow.
But are you testing it out?
As far as what do you mean?
Character voice, or do you just that's what you're gonna use? In other words, are you like, well, what do you think of this? What do you think of this voice? Is there a process with that?
I think I find something when I do the demo that I like, and I put some thought into it of what I would have this guy be, and generally Matt just likes it, and it's just like, okay, that's his voice. Every once in a while he's like, maybe someone else can do that one, and it's like, okay,
Man.
Right.
but yeah, it's sort of like sticking my toe in the voice actor world. And back with the other stuff that I've done before Chuck E. Cheese, none of it was like pre-recorded stuff. So it was finding voices for these characters and whatever. But with this, they've got the voice actors for the main guys, and so it's getting the I guess what you did, wasn't everything sort of pre-recorded and you learn the rhythm and do it, or was he on set actually doing the voice?
So he was live on the script. So when it was dialogue, he was live, sitting in a room with 4 monitors.
Yeah.
And the songs were recorded, but he had a live mic.
Wow.
So obviously I know the song, hey Mr. Knickerbocker, but then he could add, a giggle or something like that. So
wow. Did you know what was coming, or did you just have to like find it on the fly?
no, we had to find on the fly. Now after a while they got used to like, I bet Carrie's gonna do a jump here, and so I'm gonna add a giggle or whatever.
Yeah.
He's gonna
Find each other's rhythm and yeah.
That's right. It's that improvising kind of thing, but you get a feel for it, right? He's doing something that needs something, right? Or vice versa. If he, I can hear him start to go, well, it needs something. So it takes time to get used to doing that, by the way. So right. I mean,
with us, usually we have the luxury, sort of it's still hard, but we get the pre-recorded dialogue in advance and have a few days to learn the rhythm of what we're hearing, and so we can sync up with that, and that's sort of the gig. But you can also sort of nudge the audio at the end if you don't exactly hit it, which is one of the great things about getting to do the editing, like being the puppeteer and knowing, okay, this is how this works, and having the eye for that. I think that's bumped the quality up just a little bit,
Wow.
because it's a different thing of like I don't know that people necessarily even see it if it's a little bit out of sync, but every puppeteer is like, oh God, I can't believe they used that,
Well, I do, and I want to talk about that real quick, is that perfection can just destroy you in this industry, because no one's perfect, right? It's just impossible.
Yeah.
And so where did you get to that point? Because I know for me, it was hard at first, because I'm learning on the game, and there's stuff, I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
It's not my best, this or that. And then you get to the point where you're like, man, you're really good at that. Well, yeah, shit, I've been doing this for 18 years,
Right.
Wow.
You're learning every day.
Yeah.
So I think that's the first time I've cussed in this in 84 episodes.
Wow.
I'm so proud that I could have been here for
Yeah,
that.
it was you that let it loose.
Are you gonna bleep that, or are you gonna leave it?
I don't know. We'll think about that. But
Wow.
I try to leave this very little editing and let it go. So I don't know. We'll see. But anyways, on your aspect of it, because I've seen you as a musician, and you're so technical. Is it hard for you, whether it's music or puppeteering or writing or that, to let some of that stuff go?
It's agonizing. It's terrible. Like, I love when you do let go. You know, those moments of, and it can be either in the moment or after, or before, I suppose. But when it's just flowing and you're just like, what I'm doing is good, and even if something's a little rough around the edges, but yeah, I'm a terrible critic of myself, and it comes and goes, and something that I can think was awesome, I could go back and look at it and just like, man, that's terrible. Like, you know, so it's an ongoing thing, and I'm sure it'll always be an ongoing thing, and just like being okay with what's there. And,
Wow.
you know, as long as people just keep asking me back, I can feel at least that good about the quality, you know?
Well, usually they don't even notice it, right?
Right.
Usually it's us.
Yeah,
Wow.
good point.
I want to talk about this too real quick. I'm like running out of time, and I'm like, I all these things.
Wow.
You ever go over an hour? You want to just like keep going? What else you got?
Yeah, maybe we'll do that. We'll just let it run.
Wow.
I know this creatively, and so how is it from? Because I've seen you do both, right? So you're playing original stuff you're creating, but sometimes you're playing others, right? Whether it's the Beastie Boys or things of that nature.
Totally.
That balance of playing someone else's music or whatever that may be.
Yeah.
And then also the creative, you know, it's one of the reasons I got into photography, because it opened up a part of me.
Yeah.
Right? When I was doing Barney, there's directors and producers and choreographers and writers and all those things. So it's a big collaborative thing. And a lot of times when I get my camera, I just go out and, you know, into nature and go shoot. Whether it's a great picture or not, I got to do that. So there's a balance there.
Yeah.
What is it like for you in that balance of creating your own, but also, you know, doing other people's work?
It feels like two different worlds, honestly.
Wow.
Like doing the tribute band stuff. I love that music, and you know, it's super rewarding to get to play the stuff that, you know, you grew up on and you have this deep love and appreciation for, but it's not yours, so you don't have to be like, well, people don't like it, and so it doesn't, you know, it doesn't hurt if people are like, you know. But with Chuck E. Cheese, and I guess the other stuff that I've written for, it's definitely a different thing as far as creatively rewarding, which of course, because you're making it, but I'll say I've found it easier to write for them versus, you know, I've never done the Eric Neal band, and at this point, pushing 50, I don't know that there's any point to be doing that, but that's a way more intimidating thing than to write for a mouse, you know?
Yeah.
And that's not to diminish that at all, because you know, I'll get to the end of a song and just like, man, I really like that song. That's a good song, and I'm proud of that, and for all kinds of reasons, you know. But it's way easier to be forgiving in the process of just like, let's just keep going when you're writing for the mouse, you know.
Right.
So it's made it a little bit easier to get to the finish line, but still be really proud and really happy of what I've done when I get there. You know what I mean?
I do. Well, we're just gonna have to have another episode, because there's no question about that. I got so much more I want to ask you. But I do want to finish up this episode with, what advice would you have musicians, puppeteers, writers, getting in the industry, staying in the industry, and really with their art, their craft.
And it's following your purple road. You know what I mean? Like follow what you feel. Like the things that move you, do those things. Say yes to things. Like just keep going. You know, it's all the moments in my life that I've said yes to things that have blossomed. So that's like the biggest thing for me. It's just say yes. You know.
And what if someone says no? How do you handle that?
Oh, it says no to me?
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, that's worth a whole other episode, Gary.
All right,
Wow.
give me the short of it, and then we'll go into it on another episode.
Oh man, no is hard. Like I'm amazed at the people with thick skin, and you gotta have thick skin because you get no a lot. I think the more you do and the more you're known, the more people ask you to do things, and you get to say no. But man, no is hard. I know you've talked about it, that you've gone through a lot of no's, and it's just part of the deal. And this is true, but I remember no's from years ago that's still like, ouch.
Well,
My biggest no was I was told I was going to get a phone call, and I never got the phone call.
Oh,
And I found her number and I called her because I was like, well, she said she was going to call back. 22 years old, you know. And so yeah, I mean,
I admire the tenacity there. That's cool.
Wait a minute, and I wasn't. It's funny because I don't think I was even mad. I was like, well, something must have happened. You know, I know she meant to call me, which she didn't, but it all worked out. It all worked out. But it is fascinating to see those kind of things.
yes.
Like I said, we're gonna have another episode. This has been just such a pleasure.
Let's do it. This was fun, man. Thank you for having me.
Oh, my pleasure, my pleasure. And I know the audience is gonna love this stuff because
Yes.
it takes a lot to get to where you are, and I love how you've done this. I've seen him, and if you get a chance, if you're in Dallas, Texas, or where, who knows where he's going to be, you got to see him. We will have him on our social media so you can see where he is and all the things going on. And I'm going to finish up here. I swear I'm going to finish up here with what do you think is next for you?
Ooh. I don't know. I know that there's a lot of Stay the Course stuff. We're working on the next round of Chuck E. Cheese music already. We're doing a brainstorming session soon, and so there's that. There's a couple of rhyme and stealing gigs coming up. I don't know what the next sort of big thing is, but we shall see.
Wow.
And we will let you know when we find out what that is.
Right on.
And Eric, it's just a pleasure.
Great to talk to you, man. It's good to see you too. You look good.
Well, thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, I just kind of let the world know the other day.
Yeah.
I actually got married a month and a half ago, and thank you so much for that.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Well, I gotta come see you soon.
Which, by the way, I wanted to release this month and a half ago, blah blah thing. Which, by the way, it's been at least December 10th, 2021, and I want to release this today on LJPCBM. Continue on.
My camera is itching to come take the pictures. It's been too long since I've shot a rhyming and stealing show, so
Wow.
You shot my favorite picture of me that I've, like, it probably doesn't even look like me anymore. I've used it for so long, so I need a new profile pic, Carrie.
All right, perfect. Well, I'm coming out. We'll come do that. Man, thank you so much, and we'll talk to you soon.
Yes, sir. Have a good one, buddy.
And thank you so much for watching Purple Roads. Remember to keep your eyes, ears, and heart open, and you'll find your purple road. We'll see you next week.
That was Eric Neal, puppeteer, writer, musician of Chuck E. Cheese. Roads episode number 87. Man, I'm so speechless when it comes to this episode. And after the last 50 plus minutes of this episode, the past 45 minutes is like, oh my god, I can't see. Because I'm so blind, you know, and that was the reason why I need some glasses after I took some naps, you know, that's just me, of course. That's just like, wow. But, you know, I was supposed to be reacting this video, but I'm like, boy, I can't see this thing. But thankfully, I got my computer glasses, and it was okay. And that was LJPCBM episode number 1164. Hope you enjoy it. Stay tuned. The next one's going to be episode 1065 of LJPCBM, which will be about the two remaining guests of Purple Rose Podcast. And episode 688 of Purple Rose Podcast. Now, excuse me, I gotta have a call conversation with Remix Plum. And then I have to get back to do LJPCBM for you guys. Because today is LJPCBM day for me, for LJPCBM audiences out there. Till next time, Sue Jones, Bob, so baby. Good morning, LJPCBM against Pursue. So out. See ya.
Given unto me this life I'll never take for granted, and given all the time I failed to really understand it, I never sought to meet the maker of reality, the one who gave the life that which is always happening. But I tried all the time. I ask, why me? Why was I the one to see things as I do under the moonlight and the sun? Perception is the question, and the giver holds the key.